It's August 12, 2019. I was out of town this weekend, but I believe it rained sometime during this weekend. Let's start the update with this tree over here. You can see the tree is getting fuller with a lot more new leaves. Right here we have the pine tree, it looks pretty much the same. The elephant fruit plants and the frizzle sizzle. You can see the flower buds are getting a lot bigger. And yeah, the stem is really thick too. So I'm very excited for the flowers. Here we have the tomato. You can see all of these fruits are matured and ready for harvest. These ones are pretty much matured too. And there's a lot more fruits that's gonna mature pretty soon. Here we have this little flower. They smell pretty good actually. And over here with hydrangea, probably need to clean it up. Some of the flower has dried. Rosemary looks pretty much the same. The growth is pretty slow. And then we have the lavender over here. You can see still a lot more new flowers, and these dried flowers are falling now. There's seeds inside the dried flowers actually. So I'm gonna collect some of these and collect the seeds. They smell really good too, so I'm probably gonna put them in the bag. Here we have the peony. Looks pretty much the same. Succulents are looking good. And here we have the pineapple. Looks like it's growing a lot. You can see a lot more new leaves coming out, and the new leaves over here are really strong. Over here we have the green onion. If you look at the base of the plants, you can see a bulb structure forming. It's kind of like an onion, I guess. Over here we have the mulberry. Yeah, it looks about the same. And then here we have the dahlia. You can see this new flower is a lot smaller than the other ones we had. And here we have the blueberry. You can see a lot of matured fruits that's ready for harvest. I'm gonna harvest some of them today. Here's a lot more fruits. And if you look on the floor, there's still a lot of dropped fruits, but I think it's slowing down, so that's a good sign. Here we have the cow lily. This flower over here, you can see some fruits from forming inside, those green things. Up here we have the strawberries. You can see the leaves are getting fuller, and here we have some fruits forming. That one looks pretty good. And then this one over here, you can see it's turning red, so it should be ready to harvest in the next few days. As you can see, all the fruits we have now have better forms and shapes, and I think it's because I clean up the pots, which allows the pollinator to access the flower more easily. Over here you can see some runners, which I'm gonna cut off. Hopefully that's gonna diverge the energy for flowering and producing more strawberry fruits. Here's more runners, as you can see. And over here's the other group of flowers. You can see this one is pretty nicely pollinated as well. So yeah, that's great. Here's a new hydrangea flower, and then here's the newer flower. That probably opened last week. And then these are the older flowers. You can see the older flowers are kind of turning green. Down here we have more of the older flowers. You can see a lot of greenish looking flowers. And then let's look at the raspberry. Right here you can see a bunch of fruits, and most of them are very nicely pollinated with many individual fruits in the cluster. And And then there's also a few of, you can see the bigger looking fruits. Those are not as nicely pollinated. Up here, we can see a bunch more raspberry fruits, and these are all really nicely pollinated as well. Very nice cluster of individual fruits. Down here is a lot more fruits. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of nicely pollinated raspberries. Here's some more new flowers actually. Right here are the plain corpses. You can see most of the flowers has gone to seed now. And here we have the asparagus. You can see one of the stem is turning yellow. It's actually dying back now. So I'm gonna cut it off and throw it away. Here we have some catnip. You can see very nice flowers. Here we have the grapes. Looks pretty much the same. Down here we have the rhubarb. If you look down over here, you can see a super tiny flower stalk forming from this plant over here. Looks like it really wanted to flower. Here we have the potato, and if you look down over here, on top of the soil is a little potato poking out. So yeah, the potatoes are forming nicely. And lastly, we have the beautiful artichoke flower. It has finally opened, and it's a very nice bluish purple flower. From the camera, it looks more like magenta. And for the indoor garden, you can see the succulents over here. This little baby plant is looking pretty good. Gonna leave it on the plants for a while. And then this succulent over here is getting a lot taller, which is not ideal. Here we have the orchids. You can see this lady slippers or Venus slipper orchid. Flower has opened completely. Here's another flower, looking very nice. And then over here we have more orchids. This one is sending out a new growth right here. And then the other one isn't really doing anything though. Just want to look at the flowers again because they're so pretty. And then down over here we have more orchids. This one you can see the leaves are getting a lot bigger and longer. Over here we have the mini Oncidium with this single tiny flower that has opened. And then you turn around, here's another flower spike forming. Not sure how many flowers there's going to be for that one. This mini Oncidium isn't doing anything, and then this one is still sending out new leaves. Here we have the Phalaenopsis. You can see the new leaf is getting bigger now. And right there is a little root slash flower spike looking structure. And then up here, let's look at the beautiful Stackhorn fern. Here's a sunlit antler frond. You can see the veins. And then turn around. You can see down here, there's a little shield frond forming. It's not getting any bigger though. And let's just look at the bigger shield frond. That beautiful pattern. Over here we have this other Stackhorn fern. That doesn't look like it's doing too well. Another orchid. And Easter cactus, you can see it's still sending out some new leaves. And then over here we have the snake plants. You can see the leaves are still getting longer. Like this one over here is getting a little too long, actually. And then up here we have the Hoya plants. Look at the new growth. Still sending out new leaves over there. Spider plants. Pear plants. It's a little droopy probably need to water them. And lastly, the philodendron. The vines are still getting longer. And this is the harvest I did today. On the left, you can see a bunch of blueberries. On the right is the tomatoes, and on the top is the dried lavender flowers. And these are the blueberries that I washed and put in a bag that I'm gonna freeze. And these are the lavender flowers. As you can see, I extracted the seeds, which are on the right, from the dried flowers, which is on the left. And I put the dried flower in an aerated bag so we can smell the fragrance. And these are what the lavender seeds looks like.